One last thing before we go, campaign promise made and delivered today from President Joe Biden. The White House released a formal proclamation granting pardons for all prior federal offenses of simple marijuana possession. The president is also calling on all governors to do the same for state offenses and ordering his administration to change how marijuana possession is classified under federal law. He says that as those things change, the important limitations on trafficking, marketing, and underage sales of marijuana shall not. We will be right back.
Clearly. While I have you, I want to turn to a different story. This is our top story, but this is one where you're also an expert, and it's a big breakthrough here coming out of the White House. The president, President Biden, pardoning not just one or two people on a case-by-case basis, but really pardoning thousands of people whose cases had been reviewed where their major offense was marijuana possession under the federal law. As you know, Neil, about 19 states would not prosecute anything like that. There is still Schedule I federal marijuana prohibition, but we have this incredible schism in the law where you have a lot of people serving nonviolent drug offenses who literally could be smoking on the street today in many states if they were out there, and B, who are overwhelmingly black, brown, and poor people who have borne the brunt of those drug laws, not others. In other words, I've said this before, but it bears repeating. It's not as if everyone who tried marijuana all got equal sentences, and we're talking about what to do about it. It's also that many of those people incarcerated are under conditions where they were basically discriminated against. I'm curious your reaction to this news.
This is President Biden using the powers of the presidency in the most humane, the most just way imaginable. This is not giving pardons to your political friends like Steve Bannon and Dinesh D'Souza. This is taking a hard look at what America has done over the last years and saying, you know, is this really what we want to lock people up for? Is this really how we want to bust up families? I mean, I've represented criminals, and sometimes I go to jails to visit them, and you know, it's heartbreaking to see all the little girls and boys who are there to visit really their dads, many of them minority, many of them poor, many of them in prison, not for some big offense, but for, you, as you're saying, these minor marijuana offenses. And so I think it's exactly the right move for the president. And it, you know, reminds you of what's at stake in this election. Because remember how Trump used these powers of the presidency and who he rewarded, and how President Biden's not using it. He's never going to get any political donations from these people or anything else. He did it because it was the just thing. It was the humane thing to do. And today and for the future, a lot of families are going to be together because of what the president did today.
Yeah, really interesting. And as you say, not something related to people he knows, but using that almost at a policy level, given the shifts in drug laws. Neil Katyal, I want to thank you and remind everyone, you can always go to msnbc.com/opening arguments and get these and other segments with our friend and counselor, Neil Katyal.